Hi, and welcome back to Me, My Shelf, and I. It's Hannah/Spuds.
Sam Swags.
And carbs. What's up?
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
It's the intonation. I bring it.
So, today we're going to be finishing up A Court of Mist and Fury. We're reading chapters 53 into the end of
No, we're watching episodes 53 to the end of the book.
It's not working anymore. It's been a long week.
It Taz. It totally Taz. Like
Taz.
Twas, but Taz.
I didn't know if that was a choice or
No,
not.
it was. Normally I'm stupid enough where I would mess this up, but I intentionally chose.
That lasted long.
Well, I promise she just started drinking wine.
I did indeed. But
She's
I had
not
a lot
far.
of Chinese food, so who knows how this episode will go.
Watch out. We got a big episode ahead of us. This one, shit hits the fans.
It really, really does.
Part 3 of Sarah J. Maas books.
Honestly, I liked it because it had a lot more action in it.
Mhm.
Oh, we should talk about Sam showed us a song.
Oh, yes, because surprise, surprise, I'm the resident Swiftie of our trio.
Every
And-
group should have one.
Yeah, only one.
Yeah, only one.
There's a cutoff.
Isn't that right, Spud?
And it's Swags.
And it's Swags.
Well, so Book Talk, and I think Taylor Talk in general, has been talking about low-key how... What,
It's
left
called
it Taylor
Taylor
Talk? I don't know. I'm not quite...
what it is?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise
I'm
me.
so sorry.
Wait.
I have to interrupt you. So I looked on the news today. Taylor Lautner just married his fiance Taylor, and now they're both Taylor Lautner.
Yeah.
She finally took his last name.
So, allegedly on Taylor Talk, where all the Swifties congregate, people have been making parallels to her newest album, Midnights, having a lot of themes that feel very ACOTAR, specifically A Court of Mist and Fury-esque. So I played them one of my personal favorites from the album, Masterminds, which is very, in my opinion, Rhysand-esque.
So Taylor Talks is actually it's a lady who does these interviews on her TikTok. Don't know what she talks about.
Taylor
though.
Talks TikTok.
I'm sorry.
So this beautiful song.
We were talking about Masterminds.
Right. No, I agree the lyrics. There is some winks. I think if a song could wink at ACOTAR, it would be that song.
Wink,
Yes.
Mhm.
So it's definitely from Rhysand's point of view.
Yeah, I
if
think
it's
so.
related.
Mm-hmm.
And even just like hearing it, they made a reference to Starlight and Night in the beginning of the song.
Mm-hmm.
I am sitting here analyzing Taylor Swift lyrics, it's fine. But then I also like when it comes back around where like you knew the entire time, and like Farrah, it feels like that nod to Farrah, like acknowledging her feelings for Rhysand the whole time.
Ooh,
Mhm.
spoiler alert. Rhysand knew about Farrah the whole time. We'll talk about it.
We're getting into
We're gonna
it.
unpack
get
that
into
one.
it.
So, if anyone else notices their Midnight's parallels, I also have seen a lot of references to Midnight Rain being a Tamlin Farrah reference. But yeah, I'm going to listen to that album in a totally different light now. So, yeah, spoiler alert to Farrah and Rhysand. Where did we leave off, guys?
She left him in the mud. It was like, peace, bitch. She had Morrigan, the Moor. Wait. Sorry.
It sounded like you said the morgue.
I got that all mixed up. It's the Morrigan.
Yes.
And they call her Moor.
The Morrigan is actually a reference to Irish mythology. I was going to bring that up. I thought it was like there is a figure known as the Morrigan.
Really?
I'll find it. We'll talk about it at the end of this episode.
fun.
It was really interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
So the infamous Morrigan is the one that saved Farrah and, well, really saved Rhysand from Farrah.
Yeah, basically. Because
And
if
hid
he wasn't
away.
half dead already, damn.
Mhm.
Because I think the argument we had last week was, did Farrah overreact? And we sort of
Yes.
concluded that she may have.
Yeah.
It wasn't really an argument. We all agreed that
Like,
she overreacted.
Ask me the question.
Did Farrah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, she did.
Okay. And Morgan, I'm just gonna say Moore. I don't know why I'm pushing this full name, but it's like so Moore took her to a cabin that the boys used to get
It's Reese's
drunk
old
at.
house.
Yeah. Wait,
It's a family cabin.
it's a family cabin, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's warded,
This
so
is
no
all
one
in
can
the
just.
last episode.
Wait, the cabin was? We didn't.
Yeah. we
He
talked
dropped her
about
off, and then Moore comes one more time before Rhysand finally
Yeah.
finds her, and they have their talk.
Oh, okay.
it. So
Sorry.
she's already
just
at the
pick up
cabin.
from
Sorry.
Sarah's just chilling in the cabin. and
Yeah,
Moore
so
shows up.
Farrah's chilling in the cabin. She Carvin. Sorry.
Yeah, so Farrah is finally getting a little stir crazy, but she's just stubborn enough that she's not gonna dip out of the cabin just yet. So she's like chilling and she's painting.
She's
Surprise,
so petty.
surprise.
I
She's
don't-
so petty.
I don't like this. Now, I just like, can you imagine going into someone's house, taking their paint, and just going to town on it?
On
like,
the walls, like what a
Yeah.
fucking child.
Like, that's what I thought. I'm like, this is like a kid with the magic markers. Like, man.
We all did that.
I'm just like, you don't even like know these people that well.
She's like, that's my mate, bitch. I do what I want. What's yours is mine.
I guess my thought was, if they hate it, which they could, they'll just snap their fingers and it'll go away.
Do you
right?
think they would really tell her that they hated it though? I
No.
feel like even if it sucked it's like little
and she
stick
knows
figures.
that. She
it does
knows
suck.
that.
It does suck. It is like little stick figure stuff. And it's
Mhm.
like,
No, that's what Moore did. Moore does the little stick figures when she comes back.
but still, who wants to walk into their house and see like themselves?
And just their eyes creeping on everybody.
Yeah, like that's
It's
just,
just their
kinda,
faces.
girl, be a little more creative.
Yeah. I mean, it was creative in a weird, creepy way, but
They're all just watching her
yeah.
now.
She just needed that fucking Great Gatsby moment, man. Like, it was weird. I agree with you on this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like she kind of like talks Farrah into like chilling out and kind of like thinking about like what the mating bond entails. Like, yeah, she finally gives herself a moment to think about it and more kind of.
What a concept.
Which is like, knowing now that Moore was like the first person that Rhysand told about this makes, I don't know, her appearance seems a little more significant knowing that now, I think.
Moore's appearance to talking Farrah down
Yeah.
or rescuing her from Tamlin.
Both, I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the one that physically went in to get her.
Mhm.
When
Moore
Reese
seems
couldn't.
like the most level-headed out of all of them.
She's my favorite.
I
She's
do.
my favorite in the inner circle.
I like Amryn.
I
I
don't
do too.
like
She
Amryn.
hates Amaranth.
I don't like Amryn.
I like,
I have one Sarah J. Maas character per series, and I just like Dinkelberg, like whatever. That is Amryn in this. But that's like I'm like, oh, Amryn. And who's it in and Crescent City, fucking Danica. Like,
Oh, everyone should hate Danica. though.
and then who is it in? I know I
Throne
have-
of Glass.
Oh, Nehemia. Ooh, don't get me started on her.
In
Oh,
Throne of
Nehemia.
Glass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's
She
that one
didn't
character. I know. It's
Okay.
but it's I know why.
Okay.
I know why.
We'll have to unpack that, Sam.
I know I can't without spoiling everything because
Yeah.
Liz helped me figure it out, and I was like, thank you. I was like, that's where my issue lies with all these characters.
We should start a Patreon where we just give our unsolicited opinions.
It's just Spoiler Town, USA.
Not that this isn't unsolicited opinions, but
It
you
is.
clicked on this.
Yeah,
thing.
you made a choice.
We're not spoiling the rest.
Now,
of the
if you
series.
want to make a worse choice, you can pay for it on Patreon.
This little sin.
Just a little extra.
Okay, so anyway, Moore is the level-headed one that kind of talks Feyre down, and then Rhysand finally comes.
after checking out,
I did not mean that.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't.
oh wait, y'all, I'm wearing my Akatar sweater from Liz for my
Aw,
birthday. It
that's
says
cute.
"To the stars that listen to the dreams that are answered" with Valaris.
A lot of people have that tattooed on themselves,
I thought we were gonna get matching Valaris tattoos, are we not?
but we can't do like.
We
what
did
everyone
not
else is
agree
doing,
on
'cause I'm not a
this.
basic bitch.
We did not agree on this. I'm just saying, if I agreed to it, I was probably drunk because I don't remember agreeing to this
I feel like
whatsoever.
there's a lot of things we talk about that you don't remember either, though.
So To the
The
cabin,
first of
Carbs.
many.
To the cabin. How about you just say he arrived?
He arrived.
Thank you.
Inside Pharaoh.
You're telling us to stop
I
you
know.
giggling. You're cracking this shit.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
The reason comes.
Health is not contagious.
And finally, oh my god, I can't get this. And finally, he kind of goes through his whole backstory of why he
Mhm.
acts the way that he does. And Sam, some of your favorite parts in this, where she realizes that he was. I feel like you should explain it.
So he explains how his vendetta against Amarantha was born from the first round of these battles with against the King of Highburn and Amarantha. She was torturing his soldiers in front of him and leaving him alive to watch it happen. So he kind of always had it out to her. He didn't think the initial treaty that they all came to stop the fighting, I think probably like 100 years ago, was enough or harsh enough against Highburn, until he accidentally falls into a trap. Amarantha lures these people into the cave, and he gets drugged and loses all of his powers.
Well, and the whole reason why he went down there was because he believed that he could go down there and kill her.
Yeah.
And she had already was a few steps ahead of him.
It was a suicide mission.
Yeah, he knew it. So
And then he became a whore.
He did.
But in doing so, he ended up wiping the memories of everybody in order to protect the Inner Circle and Valaris.
Yeah.
So anyone who had come with him to Under the Mountain, he wiped their memories clean.
Well, he used the last bit of his remaining power, because the spell that she had drugged everybody with was to cut their powers in half, but because Rhysand is so powerful, he had a better grasp on his magic than the rest of them.
Mhm.
But instead of trying to break free, he opted to save Valaris, the Inner Circle, and his people.
What were you going to say, Carbs?
Oh, I was going to say basically what Sam was saying is that the last bit of his power was used for wiping memories, which I read that, I keep reading that part and I think, wow, he is either really, really powerful or this is a fucking stretch. Like, I just, because he said he did like 4 different things. It was like he had to wipe the memories, seal off Valaris,
So, like, people,
hide it.
when they went approach, they would think nothing was there and would turn around.
But and I don't know about you, but like when I think of like someone exerting power, I always just think they're like, oh, moments like in the movies. And I am just like, wow, he must have really
Straining to take a dump or
right, and like, it probably looked like he had to take a giant shit
for
like
50 years.
for 50 years. I'm just saying like that is, for me, that felt like a stretch. I mean, it's fine, it worked out, but
You know what? That explains why he was so moody.
yeah,
Mhm.
probably.
That would be too.
Or maybe, because doesn't Amarantha just drain powers?
But he used it all to protect Valaris.
Okay.
That's why he wasn't able to like do anything to her, because he used what was left to protect the Night Court.
Constantly. But lo and behold, while he's been doing all this stuff, he starts getting glimpses of this wee little human.
Just the last couple years, because obviously Feyre's just a baby.
Let's not put a lot of emphasis on that boy.
Yeah. It is kind of gross.
Well,
when you
no,
think of
because
it
it's
like-
actually really funny. I keep seeing this meme popping up that's like, oh, why are women into these fantasy books? No, with these like 400-plus-year-old men. No, because it takes 400 years for men to mature. And I'm like,
I love that.
preach.
I love that meme.
How many hundreds of years does it take? Rhysand's age. Anyway.
Yeah, and he's what we estimated like over 1,000 years old.
No, I think he's 5.
No, he was 500. We talked about this. He was like 500 years old when Tamlin was like 15, right?
I don't know.
I don't think that's right.
Semantics.
I think he's closer to 1,000 years old.
I don't think that's right, but we will look
Okay.
into it.
Okay,
Sarah's looking it up right now.
you might have been right a little bit, but you know, it was only per Google, and you know, we don't know how reliable that is.
So, where did that leave us?
He started
with?
seeing
Oh, the
glimpses from-
delicate little human hands. He's finally, a couple years recently, when he started getting glimpses of this human who
And he
likes
starts-
to paint.
he starts sending her back images like the night sky.
Which, literally, Feyre just told him about how she used to paint stars on her dress, so I wonder where she got the inspiration from.
He's like me.
me.
I did that. I infiltrated your mind.
I did that. No.
Because I'm a mastermind.
Let it go, Sam. Let it go.
It's gonna be the theme of the episode, and I'm not mad about it.
And he finally realizes who she is when he crosses over for Kellen Mine.
When she crosses over into the spring court, his visions of her become more clear.
But
because
he also asked Amaranth to go there.
Well, right, but that was after he pieced together that she was in the spring court, because he pieced together that the images before, when she was still in the human realm, and then the images he was seeing after.
He had made a comment that they were kind of foggy, and then when she crossed into Perinthian, he could see her clearly, and then he saw the images.
Noticed the pyres.
Yeah, and he saw the setup of Calanmai, so he knew that she was in the spring court, and that's why, and he told Amarantha he was spying on Tamlin to see if he was close to breaking the curse. He was. And that's how he meets Feyre. And then this was forever since we talked about it, but Feyre was being
harassed by some
yeah.
Fae, and Rhysand pieces together where she is, and he's like, there you are, I've been looking for you.
He was.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
I was going to say, Sam has to say that point, because that's his favorite scene.
I love it. They're so cute.
It's so cute.
Oh, that's why I love these first 2 books so effing much. All right.
And that's when he decides that scaling her back into the human land would keep her safe. So they had the breakfast interaction in book 1 where he was super creepy and mean and scary and
it was right after Tamlin and Feyre kissed for the first time, so that's when he pieced together that they were a thing and got doubly jealous and pissed off and scared Feyre away.
He also didn't know her real name because she gave him a fake name.
But he knew she lied.
Yeah, he knew she lied, but he definitely realized that when the real Claire came down under the mountain.
Ugh, devastating.
R.I.P. We'll still be sad over Claire.
R.I.P. Claire Bedford. No, Better. Yeah.
Yeah, so Rhysand didn't anticipate that being a real person and did everything in his power to mitigate her pain and trauma and suffering until he eventually just killed her peacefully instead of being tortured. That was pretty rough.
Ugh.
That is really sad.
It is.
And then he also admits that he drugged her to help her into the mountain. I don't know if I agree with all that.
You do not like that. You are not good.
As someone who's been drugged, not here for it.
Fair.
Like, from personal experience, that's terrible. Like, I'm sure there are a million other ways that you could have helped her out under the mountain.
Yeah, it's the only... Every time I reread the first book, I'm like, God, this scene fucking sucks. And, like...
It's cringy.
Sure, like, we can... be like, sure, like, that's fine. I understand the logic behind it.
Do we, though? Do we? I can understand it. Do I accept it? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree. I
but how boring would that have been for her to have to sit in that cell? Like, I think of the alternate, and I don't think neither option was going to be good.
But I don't understand why, instead of drugging her and making her go through all of this stuff, why couldn't he kind of let her in a little bit and be like, you want to come up and I'll feed you food and stuff, but you have to do this in order? Like, I feel like she'd do anything to get out.
But that's all part of his masks that he likes to wear. He was not going to let that facade cracked for someone like that.
And he didn't want her to know what he was planning. Because I think it was like if he had to tell her what was going on, it would go into the rest of it.
But I also think they were all cursed from being able to speak about the curse, remember?
Oh, that's right.
So I don't know if I can't remember if that was extended past the spring. I think it was all of them. So I don't even think he probably could full on give her that information.
I just don't like the drugging part. I feel like there had to have been some way for him to, like, little mastermind. I feel like he should have come up with a better solution.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree.
I think he was just trying to take the easy way out. And this, I mean, like, I know that's not, I don't really...
And trying to get a rise out of Amarantha in the process.
Yeah, it was like, this is the fastest way. This is gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone. This is gonna get Amarantha fucking jealous. This is gonna keep Feyre safe. And this is gonna piss off Tamlin.
Yeah.
So I do think he was trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone on this. Like, I don't agree with this logic, but I also don't think that Rhysand is used. Like, he's a captain or a leader.
I mean, yeah, he's the High Lord,
boss.
But like towards an army,
That's Cassian.
Okay. Well, anywho, Baloo, like, but he's a leader, and he didn't have any backup, so he's doing this on his own. I think he's a better strategist with more people involved. Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't want to put anyone in a situation, and that's how he gets himself in these fucking situations over and over again.
Because he didn't tell anybody, because he didn't want anyone to get hurt, and I'm going to do it on my own.
And
we'll have a lot
at the end of the day, she was the victim by getting drugged.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So moving on.
But she looked great.
He did. He was the tether that kept her alive, though, through all of that.
Yes. Yeah, when the final showdown and Amarantha tried pulling a quick one on them about their release, and she was brutally killed. That was Rhysand holding on to Feyre. It wasn't Tamlin or anyone else who was there.
And that's also when he believes the mating bond clicked when she became truly Fae.
Mm-hmm.
It was like,
mm-hmm. And he panicked. Homeboy freaked out. He
went home and freaked out.
And went and told Mor immediately, I met my mate. Happy 50 years. It's been a minute. I met a girl. It's fine.
I'm back. So yeah, he also decided that he would hold her to the agreement that he had that she would come to the night court for a few times because he could tell that she was miserable. But I think his idea was that he wanted to get her to come to the night court, and then if she wanted to leave and do her own thing, that she'd be free to go.
Yeah, he wanted to give her that opportunity for freedom because he didn't know how she was adjusting. Because she didn't have all that training with him, with her mental wards and all of that. So he could tell that she was miserable, and he wasn't planning on cashing in that agreement until he heard Feyre screaming down the bond at her wedding that she needed to be rescued.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it for her. He wasn't planning on stopping the wedding before that. He said he was going to get rip-roaring drunk with his boys, but he just couldn't ignore Feyre any longer.
You know, she was screaming at him in his head. Help me!
I don't know if you guys remember in the beginning of this book where, Feyre gets hit by, like, Tamlin's power. And, Rhysand, I think, gets her shortly after that. And he gets mad. No, I wouldn't say mad at her, but he was upset about, he just felt this huge surge of power go through the bond. I just have in my mind that he's, like, sitting, talking like the boys, and just out of nowhere, his hair just, like, spikes up. like static electricity was just like...
And I think Rhys did say that in one of those outbursts, either hers or one of her, whatever, with Tamlin, he was like in a meeting or something.
Yeah.
Like Feyre's having like a panic attack, and he's like, "What was going on?" Too funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's next?
She accepts the mating bond.
Oh, and what does that entail?
Food. Honestly, food is love.
It is. Mm-hmm. Even if it's out of a can.
Mm-hmm. It's still food.
So just to formally accept a mating bond, the female has to present the male with food. How lovely and antiquated. That's fine. It can't be the man doing it? Excuse me, I want a chef.
Well, he does end up devouring the food. And...
Well, he did vow in the chapters before when they were in that little rickety inn that he was going to devour her like his own personal feast.
That's hot.
And he did.
It didn't take long for us to get to that.
You know what's so funny? So this scene was super sexy. So this scene was super sexy. And then when I actually started painting something like a little while later, I was like, the smell of acrylic is so gross. No matter what type of paint you're using, it probably smells really bad.
Especially on your skin.
And when it dries, it gets cracky and stuff.
Yeah, it gets very cakey.
Oh god, but I started thinking of that one time when I was painting, so I was like, oh, Feyre and Rhys, and then I was like, oh no. It's like the horse thing. You know, the strip that you love. And the moment I wrote a horse, I was like, I could never.
I want to be spontaneous where I would have sex on top of paint, but I couldn't do it.
Think of it getting inside of you.
Yeah.
That's why I said he ate a lot of paint.
Okay, but when they dipped into the paint, I feel like they were still mostly clothed. So most of the paint probably came off as the layers kept
Yeah, but
starting
if there's paint on the table,
I think you're
it's
being
like
too
in
generous.
her butt crack. Then,
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
in her butt crack. It's like in her
I don't know. Rhysand was able to like change the sheets without a thought. I'm sure they got the paint off. They had no problem scrubbing those crevices.
He didn't he snap it off?
But what's
or
the
whatever?
point of like getting clean in a tub if you're just gonna fuck in it afterwards anyways? It's not very clean. Like I don't think they thought about this, but that's fine. That's fine. It's fine.
It was a sexy scene, and there's a lot of really good fan art online.
Oh my god. What was the lady or man? I don't know what the gender.
Mads official.
The hands.
Oh, I love the Hands series. I don't remember who that
We
is.
should drop a link.
Okay.
It's all of my favorite. Yeah, they do it for a couple of the other Sarah J. Maas couples where it's like their hands all. Oh my god, I love it. It's just the hands. It's so sexy. The Dorian and Manon one. Oh, and then there's Cassian. Oh my god. Anyway, there are some great ones of that. Anyway,
But yeah, it was hot.
It was hot. It was hot.
Just whatever you do, don't smell paint anytime after you read that scene.
Yeah, give yourself some time.
and specifically the love confession is chapter 54 and the spicy scene is 55. Just bookmark them.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I love how you know the exact chapters.
Oh, I do. I know all the spicy chapters in this book.
Sam, Crescent City 2, what is it, like 6?
Oh no, the Rune Danon one is
Yeah.
chapter 3.
3, okay. I knew it was like one of the first couple chapters.
Rune Danon's reintroduction to Crescent City is chapter 3. You cannot forget it.
I'm fine. Let's continue. Sorry.
So, as I have it in my notes, after many rounds of mating, for lack of a better
Round 1.
like round 50. That's when Rhysand talks about how it's like gonna be really intense. It's very much like a try to knock her up type thing. Once a couple has accepted the mating bond, they literally are barely getting out of bed, but he gets out of bed just long enough to tell her that they have a meeting with the Mortal Queens.
Yeah.
Oh.
So do you wonder? He totally used that as an excuse to go to the cabin in the first place. But, like,
The
but
Queens? Oh.
Yeah, because like she didn't want to talk to him, and he's like knocking on the door, and he's like, "We need to talk." And then if she like kicked him out, he'd be like, "But it's the Mortal Queens."
We need to see your sisters.
That is the only reason why I came here.
And because,
hey girl. If you want to talk about that, we can.
I mean, we can. I'm here.
So yeah, they have another meeting with the queens, and they're going to reveal Valaris.
Via the
Orb.
orb.
The little orb.
Uh-huh. Well, how did that go, Sarah?
Not well. Not well. We went to Nessa and Elaine's house.
Their MIA dad, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, where
He's-
the fuck is he?
He's out carving bears into wooden stakes and selling them at astronomical prices. And he's doing very well. Sorry.
Talented merchant that he is off of Tamlin's fortune.
I still love the idea of like some guy being like, genius! I must have all the bears. Sorry. But they go, and 2 queens show up. The old queen, the crone?
Yep.
Yeah, the crone queen.
Oh, that old crone.
And the golden-haired queen, who's the youngest. So the oldest and the youngest, they come, and they show them Valaris, and they show them all the pretty picture and the Sidra and the artist quarters and the townhouse and the palace and the fucking hills and whatever, and it looks amazing, and they're like, ooh, we're so in awe, but we'll think about it. And
they're like not interested.
yeah,
at
they're
all.
like, you will consider it.
We
And
won't.
they of course, like, they're like, no, you won't. Like, you're not good. Like, you're either gonna accept it or not. Nesta gets really worked up, which
My
was
Well, before Nesta butts in, is that they throw Rhysand's love letter about his love for Feyre back in his face, using it as an excuse that they didn't believe him. And it was just so, that letter was so sweet. And
Can
it
you
was,
read it?
I'll find it and read it. But yeah, I was
Mhm.
like,
It was
here
so-
it is. I've just, look at it marked off.
It
like,
is
I
very
planned for
romantic.
this. The old woman read, I write to you not as a high lord, but as a male in love with a woman who was once human. I write to you to beg you to act quickly to save her people, to help save my own. I write to you so one day we might know true peace, so I might one day be able to live in a world where the woman I love may visit her family without fear of hatred and reprisal, a better world. He wrote that weeks before she ever found out about the mating bond. Like, how cute is that? It's so precious.
It's so precious.
He loves her so much.
I mean, he could have just, like, hopped in their minds and, like, just gone for a joyride, you know? But he didn't. He wrote something very emotional and vulnerable, and it's very sweet, and I love it. Still shouldn't have drugged her. And
Fact.
And yeah, and I think Nesta calls out the queens first, and she's like, just give him the book, and
Yeah, don't you care about us humans?
Yeah,
this is our world.
Yeah, and they're like, no, this is just a little tiny area. Like, y'all can die, it's all good, and we're gonna be on our thingy-mabobber, and we'll be fine, and we got fleets and stuff, we're good. And Nesta gets really upset, and Cassian goes to her, and it was really lovely, and I think he said that
500 years ago, I fought on a battlefield not far from this house. I fought beside human and fairies alike, bled beside them. I will stand on this battlefield again, Nesta Archeron, to protect this house and your people. I can think of no better way to end my existence than to defend those who need it most.
I love him.
the boy...
Oh, I love him so much.
The boy can dance! Oh! He fine.
I love their, like, angry tension.
Yeah, it is.
I watched as Cassian reached up a hand to wipe away the tear on Nesta's cheek.
And we all just melted.
I melted, man. Oh
No, they're such a hot mess of a couple. I love them so
I
much.
know.
Call me a candle, because
They're
I
so
just
messy.
melted.
It's gonna be great, y'all. Just wait for it.
But there was a surprise. The youngest.
Well, I was gonna say before I got into that was that the queens started backpedaling, and they're like, "Well, how do we know that you're not just the whole orb thing wasn't some sort of trick of the mind of you manipulating us in some way because you have all your mind tricks?" Were you saying? So how do we know that you guys are being honest and convincing us that Morrigan, because Moore was friends with their ancestors?
I think so, yeah.
When she fought in the war. And
Well, and honestly, like, when I read this, I remember thinking, I was like, they knew before they even showed up that they weren't going to help them. Like, there's got to be something else going on. And during this meeting, it confirmed my kind of, like, gut feeling that they were on a bad side.
Yeah.
Where I was like, there's some shit about to go down, and this is just proof that, like, something's going on that we have no idea.
Because even though I agree with our last episode in that this whole orb thing is dumb, I still feel like they've done everything they can to prove good faith, and they were never going to say yes. Like, it was never going to happen. And seeing how they handled things with Tarquin, this was what they were trying to avoid with that. And it happened. So this, to an extent, to me, almost justifies everything that happened in the summer court. I don't love it, but
I didn't think of it like that. Yeah, Rhysand would have probably, in hindsight, been better off trusting Tarquin over the Mortal Queens.
yeah,
Karma's a bitch.
So interesting.
I still hate what they did to him.
I know. It's my biggest regret of the series, besides Rhysand drugging Feyre. But that and the summer court are the two biggest most disappointing bits of this series.
yeah.
And Amryn, but that's a totally different story.
So, Spuddy,
the youngest, ends up giving them the book. Anyway.
Good breathing.
And she says, don't trust them. Which is like, okay.
The other queens weren't sick. They didn't want to show up. Like, don't trust them.
Like,
So-
honestly, come through Gen Z. You've been saving everyone nowadays. We love you so much.
She is the Gen Zer.
She is the Gen Zer.
That's so fun. I love that.
I love that.
For the record, this episode was recorded on November 13th, 2022. Let's go Gen Z. Anyway,
Gen Z! Woo!
So our little Gen Z human queen came through with the book, said don't trust them, and yeah. Sorry.
And immediately after, like literally within days, no, I think like a week or so.
There was a week, and they were actually exploring Valaris. So they all went home, they got their little book. Amryn instantly took the other book, and she's starting to work on kind of what's going on and what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going for a little stroll, and all of a sudden...
And Rhysand is away trying to do some work prepping the armies for whatever is happening. So he's not even in town. I think it's just Cassian and Feyre.
And Azrael.
And chilling out around Valaris.
They're just like enjoying themselves. And then everything goes to shit. And honestly, this whole scene stressed me out so bad because it happened so fast. And it was just kind of like the moment that she felt something in the air, I was like, those fucking queens. Those motherfucking queens told where Valaris is. Like, I instantly made that connection. And I was like, I knew those shady bitches. So yeah,
no,
Valaris got attacked.
That poor golden queen was tossed on a spike. What was it?
Yeah, right on the border of the river. Along one of the bridges.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah, so they picked up on her betrayal pretty damn fast.
Yeah,
and we're not feeling it.
Well, I mean, it's not like they weren't going to notice the Book of Breathings magically disappeared
after rounds and rounds of meetings with this foreign group that's been looking for the book, and now it's gone. I wonder who that was.
Wow, it must have misplaced it at a very trivial time. Like,
R.I.P. Gen Z.
R.I.P. Gen Z.
Just like Republicans trying to take away their voting rights.
Well, that's so great.
I love how books just transcend time.
Everything.
Thank you for your service.
So, the boys get their siphons going. They got battle armor. Choo 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 choo. I was thinking like Go-Go Power Rangers a little bit.
It made me think of Iron Man, where it's like, toom.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I was thinking of Power Rangers.
Look at me make a Marvel reference.
We're so proud of you.
I know. I was about to fuck with you guys and be like, look at me make a DC reference.
Oh, we would have ripped you to shreds.
I know, it's fine.
Sam would have ripped you. I would have thought it was hilarious.
But yeah, I think of Iron Man. I feel like they tap their little siphons on their hands, and then all of a sudden, all these siphons.
Yeah, I love it.
Siphoned up. So yeah, shit hits the fan. But something marvelous about this is that Feyre's powers start to kind of come in, and she starts doing all this crazy stuff, like winnowing without Rhysand around, and she's doing this like she's fully trained. And then also she has these cool little like water animals come up.
But her going after the adder while winnowing, she was on the main level of like the city, and she just like starts winnowing up these buildings, and she winnows herself on a moving object as he's trying to get away. Like, that was the most badass boss ass bitch thing I think Feyre's like ever done.
Fucking tore him a new asshole.
That part of that scene seemed so cool to me. Like, I could picture it in my head of her just going whoosh, 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 whoosh.
So
I'm sorry,
cool.
you can't see me with my hand movements. They're amazing.
But her sound effects are great.
So luckily, I don't think she killed the adder. Or did she kill him? Okay. Oh, I'm mixing up when Azrael interrogated him earlier in the book.
Yeah,
that's what I was mixing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no,
so
he's still alive enough for her to winnow and
yeah.
She gets him, and so satisfying of an ending.
And then
R.I.P. bitch.
And then I think Rhysand shows up around that time.
Just enough to panic because she didn't go hide and protect herself.
And in it, he could sense something was wrong, and he was trying to get into her walls, and she built it up in her head so that he couldn't get through, which was super cool. She was like, not right now, honey.
I got this. I'll let you know if I run into anything. Yeah. So she managed to save herself.
I know.
I think it's great.
And she set a boundary with Rhysand. We love a girl who knows how to set boundaries.
I know that I don't think Feyre is so like self-absorbed that she did all of this, because her goal was to protect the people of Valaris. Like, I know that she's now that she's aware that she's Rhysand's mate, I don't believe that this action was to sort of like justify that position. Like, I'm your mate now, I have to like
No.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
I thought she was just like, sweetie, you're clouding my thought process.
Yeah.
Like, I got shit to deal with.
It wasn't like, this is me saving your people. I am your mate.
She set a healthy boundary. She was like, sweetie, not right now. Mommy's busy.
Right. She knew her limits, and she knew that she could take it on. I think I don't think Feyre would have. I think Feyre would have known her limits, and she wouldn't have gone into it if she didn't think she could handle it.
But also, she's not going to be able to do all of that stuff while, like, Rhys is, like, trying to hold a conversation with her.
Well, I also think that Feyre feels like, you know, Azriel and Cassian do so much, and so does Rhysand, that I feel that she has this sort of need to sort of step it up a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily at the forefront of her actions, or, like, her justification for her actions, but I do think that Feyre, she wants to be seen as an equal. And I think because she's born human and a Fae, like, there is this sort of need to prove herself to an extent.
I feel like she also is trying to prove herself to herself, though.
Right, that she belongs there and she's his mate and this is her people.
So many condescending things told to her whole life.
Well, and she's also so unique and she's a Mod Podge of the Seven High Lords.
Yeah.
So also not only trying to find her place in this world, but also, like, adjusting as a Fae, but also being, like, powerful enough to be Rhysand's mate, which is a big deal because mates are usually equals, which is part of the logic of why Rhysand and Feyre are mates. So yeah, it's a big learning curve for her and trying to understand her power and who she is and what her limits are and how she fits into the world.
Right.
Needless to say, they won.
They did.
It was rough, but they did it.
Yeah, there was a lot of damage done to that beautiful city. And yeah, so then they decided clearly Hybern was behind all of this, and the plan is to start to go after the cauldron.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They now had both sides of the books, like, it only made sense to...
Well, and now that Valaris is known, like, I feel like, so they weren't really on a time crunch until this moment where they're like, wow, they know about Valaris now, they know how to infiltrate it, like, we are sitting ducks if we don't do something now. I feel like it kind of put the fire behind them.
Yeah. So they make their plan, and Feyre takes the books with her. So what was the initial plan? It was Feyre was going to lead, and they were going to kind of hide in the shadows so that she could try to communicate with the cauldron, right?
Yeah. But then she found out that she didn't even need to communicate with it because she just felt it instantly. Mm-hmm. She just knew where it was. And it seemed very easy to get to. There was nothing protecting it. They literally just, like, waltzed right in, and there and behold is the cauldron. And it was really interesting listening to the description of it because... Why are you shaking your head?
Because it was so obviously a trap. This isn't surprisingly easy for such a difficult operation.
Yeah.
Let's just roll with it.
But yeah, I really liked reading from her perspective, like the full true point of view of being in front of the cauldron and how it represented everything that was death and, like, nothing good. Like, it represented life, but in all of the negative ways, which was so interesting to read it like that, where it's like, it's clearly living and it encompasses what the world is created out of, but it is straight death. It was so cool. And how it, like, almost pulsed when they were around. It felt like it had a heartbeat, but you could tell that it was unliving because it was something not of this world.
Yeah.
Like, that was such an interesting description to me.
Yeah, and it kind of, it kind of pulled Feyre into a trance. They couldn't break her away from it when she put her hand on it. Too, it, like, kind of sucked her in, and she was kind of having this, like, internal monologue with it. And everyone's like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, I think her nose started bleeding. She, like, fell off of it. Like, it's a powerful
She went straight into 11 from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know, it just makes you think of, like, godliness and deities and the significance of creation.
Yeah, and it's also interesting, too, because, like, obviously in today's society, when we think of cauldron, we think of witchcraft and, like, dark magic. And so it's interesting how those two kind of combined into it.
Yeah.
Which I really liked that. I don't know, like, the idea that it was a cauldron, and she said it almost, like, looked like a tub. Kind of, which was really interesting too, because it's like, I don't know.
It's hard to wrap my head around how massive this thing is and why it's such a big deal and why it's so powerful to be able to, so we're about to find out, can fit human beings into. Yeah. Like, that's not what you think of when you think of a cauldron.
I will say this. I only cried twice reading this whole book series. One of them is much later on. If you actually, Carbs, when you're reading it, because she hasn't read it yet, if you get to that point and can pick out the time that I cried in Silver Flame,
okay,
I will
I'll probably be. I cry at everything.
I know, but I want to know if you can figure out which moment made me cry, because I'm not a crier.
Okay.
But I also cried when this scene happened.
Yes. Surprise, surprise, it was the trap.
Oh, who could see that coming?
Not carbs.
And we should mention also that, like, the books started talking to her like crazy while she was coming up to the cauldron, and they're like, put us together. And she realized that she always thought she was the conduit between all of the items, and she realized that she was like the master in control, which is kind of like really fucking amazing to realize how powerful you are.
She was able to break curses or something like that, or she was right.
Yeah, no one could use their powers.
But Feyre could, technically, because she is part of, I think it's from the Date Court, right? That
Either the Date or the Dusk Court, the Dawn or the Dusk Court.
Yeah,
it's one of.
I want to say it's the Day.
All right.
And their like strength is in magic. It's more magic and curse breaking and stuff like that, or like blocking curses or something.
Yeah.
So she had a right. I think I'm remembering this right. She had
some power.
Yeah, she had some power.
Not to like the full of her ability, but she was able to still.
And she was which she made her. But they didn't know that. They assumed that she did not have that ability.
And she played dumb.
Yeah, she did.
Which honestly, go queen.
Go queen.
She really worked that situation to the best of her abilities. When I rereading it, I was like, that was an awful, fucked up situation. But she they came out as like on top as they could have for everything that happened.
Oh
yeah.
So
they were trapped. Hello, King Hybern. And those fucking mortal queens. And Tampon's back.
Tampon! And
oh my god, I hate him so much.
So let's break it down in order, because it's very confusing and all the information kind of comes in different waves.
Yeah.
So the first reveal was that it was a trap.
Ooh.
No way.
Second was them realizing that the mortal queens decided to work with the King of Hybern, as of course the mortal queens were talking to the inner circle in the night court.
Mm-hmm.
The king offered the mortal queens immortality via the cauldron. So the third part of this is the reveal that Tamlin, with his tail between his legs, was like, Mr. Hybern, sir, I need to get Feyre back. My girlfriend ran away from me. Help me get her back. So Tamlin, Mr. Tampon, shows up. And
well, wait, let's talk about some of those points. So like the queens, now we know why when Nesta was like, why don't you care about the humans? They didn't give a fuck because they were going to be Fae.
Yeah.
Like they really weren't.
So where do you think they must have gotten intercepted between the two meetings, right?
No, I think they knew
from the
beginning.
You think from the beginning?
I vote. Let's take a poll. I think beginning.
I think in between the two meetings.
I would say beginning too. And the only reason why I say that is because but all the queens showed up at the house and only two showed up after.
I think that's
But I think that they had to have at least been in contact with him to even know that he was an option. I think that they had to have been in contact with him because when they went to that meeting and were proposed and they're like, no, we're not interested or whatever, like they could have gone to him and been like, so they told us this, this, and this, and this. Like they had to have had some type of contact with him.
I think it's possible that Hybern maybe made the first move prior and they rejected it. And then they saw Rhysand, and then they weighed their options, and then they went with Hybern.
I think that's more likely. I think the betrayal happened between the meetings, but they may have already been in communication with Hybern.
I think that's a very strong possibility, because why else? Because it took them a really long time to meet up with Rhysand.
Both times, honestly.
Yeah. But like the first time, they took a month or so, right? Like of constant letters and meetings. Yeah. And I think probably around the time that Hybern reached out, perceived time, that is when they decided, well, we see Hybern's making moves. Let's see what we got back on, like what's going on in this area, like what they know. And try to get a gauge on Hybern.
Yeah, I just don't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we forgot to add someone that was also here hanging around. It wasn't Jurian chilling out?
Oh, dude!
How do we forget
Because
Jurian?
he's not that important. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, like, I feel like you'll agree with me on this. Like, Jurian showing up, like, is... It's so unimportant and like it is so overlooked. And we
Durian,
totally,
no one gives a fuck about you.
and she's just like, hey, look, I'm not dead. I don't care.
My eyeball's in my face, guys.
Look at that, all 10 fingies right there. We're like, we don't give a fuck. We just got backstabbed. Like, fuck you.
So yeah, so Jurian's like in the background, like kind of antagonizing them, and they're all like, "Oh, where's Miriam? Oh, burn, burn, burn." She's with the Fae. Didn't want that human D no more.
So yeah, would you guys say that this is a melting pot of people? That was it.
Well, that comes a little too soon from the poor people that are melted.
Of sorts.
R.I.P. Not really.
So yeah, I think going into Jurian's there, but like going into
I love how that's such an afterthought. I'm like, oh yeah, Jurian. We don't care.
There are
Moving
so
on.
many other things happening in this scene. I totally forgot to add him into it because.
But I will say, oh sorry,
No, that's fine.
I will say Jurian being there does confirm that the cauldron's working.
Yep.
Shit is happening, and shit is
Oh, I
about
didn't
to go
even think
down.
about
Like,
because he had to have gone into it to get his fingers in his eye.
well,
back.
they would have. Well, no, they would have put his finger and his eyeball in, and he would have come out. I don't think you put the man in, and he just puts the eyeball back in his
I don't
face
know
like
how
fucking
it
Pirates of
works.
the Caribbean.
Why not?
I think eyeball finger goes in pot. Out comes man.
Well, no, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you were.
Damn, Car.
I thought you were saying
She's
that
so
they put
mean.
his skeleton in,
No.
and he came out.
Oh, that's some Harry Potter shit.
No, they did some little witchcraft. They popped his eye and his finger in there, and then
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
damn, Carbs is
I
so
thought
mean.
Okay. Wait. Before we continue debating how wrong we all are about what we're talking about. So
Wait, do you think it was eyeball first, then finger, finger, then eyeball, or both at the same
it
time?
was totally finger that I
Really? I thought eyeball first. When I
Really?
picture them going.
Because see, I don't think the finger's as important as the eyeball. I would have just done the eyeball personally.
well,
No.
the eyeball should go. Well, okay. What are the odds of the eyeball getting poked if the finger goes in first? Or the eyeball goes in first.
See, that's why I said eyeball goes in first.
No, because then the finger would go right to
What if
it.
the eyeball
Because if
floats?
it's fingers first, then the eyeball won't get poked by the finger. See what I mean? Like if it's eyeball first, that finger is gonna poke that eyeball.
But what if the eyeball
Because they'll be
floats?
drawn to each other like magnets. Oh my god! I just made like a dick and like. Dude, it's like that. Like,
Hey, and that's how babies are made.
and that's how babies are made.
Grown man Jurian.
Finger eyeball, baby Jurian.
baby human journey.
Baby human
I
Jurian.
still stand by eyeball first.
I'm thinking finger first.
I think you're wrong.
I was gonna say eyeball
And
too.
I think that
Nobody cares.
you are wrong, madam.
Wait, let's get to like the triple twist of this all.
It's finger first.
I know. So
Finger first.
Tamlin goes, "Wah, Mr. King of Highburn, I want my girlfriend back. She's hiding from me. Come find her for me." And, and Lucian is there too, but he's looking a little ox. Like, tampon, we could have handled this a little better, but here we are. So the major twist is that Ianthe, who is not pictured, knew about all of this and triple crossed all of them by revealing the location of the Archeron sisters. And guess who makes a little cameo? Surprise!
The Archeron sisters.
So we're kidnapped.
Woo!
And in their nightgowns.
Also-
Also, they were kidnapped in the middle of the night.
Let's just take a moment. Fuck Ianthe.
Fuck
Fuck
that
that
I'm so glad
bitch.
when we played Fuck, Marry, Kill that we all decided to kill her.
Yes.
She's
I
the
think-
worst.
Oh wait, no, I decided to fuck her.
I decided to fuck her too.
I'd take that back. I'd kill her.
Because it was Ianthe, Amarantha, and who was the other one?
Who's the third person?
Oh my god, it was the third person. I don't know.
Was
I
it
should've killed her.
Tamlin?
Anyway.
I don't remember. Who was it?
Lady.
Well, if you know, drop it in the comments.
Was it Ameren? No?
No.
No.
All right.
No, we did do a
I
fuck,
thought
fire,
it was
kill
more.
with the Inner Circle women.
Anyway.
I know it was Ianthe and Amarantha, but I don't remember who the other lady was.
I don't think it was, I think it was John.
Tampon.
Anyway.
I voted to kill him. Actually, I'd still kill him. I'd still fuck Ianthe.
Yeah,
I reinstate my first
and
statement.
I'd toss her like the trash she is.
So, why are the Archeron sisters here, Hannah?
I don't want to do it.
Lucky for you, your name's not Hannah.
The spice in these ladies when they drink some wine.
I need more. I'm empty. How's
I
it going?
glass.
This is the part that made me cry. So Nesta and Elaine are going to be used as examples of how the cauldron works to the human queens. And they decide to put poor Elaine in there first.
The pretty one, quote unquote.
Like, literally thinking about little flower girl Elaine, like, so afraid of Faye going to this cauldron. Like,
marrying a Fae hater with an iron engagement ring on her finger.
and you know what the interesting thing is? So this whole time that I was reading this, I totally forgot. Like, I understand that the cauldron is what makes them made. But when it was happening, I thought that they were, like, going to their death sentence, you know? Because I, like, instantly was like, these humans are not going to make it through. Like, that's going to be the thing, is one of them's going to die, one is going to come out, like, super mutated or something.
Yeah.
Because, like, even though we know Jurian went in there, he only had an eyeball and a finger. Like, you're putting a whole body in there.
Of which the
Yeah.
finger was first.
The eyeball. So, like, you don't know what's going to happen. Are there going to be, like, 3 of them sprouting out? Like, I don't know. And so Elaine went in first, and it was very, very, very tragic. And when she came out, a few things happened.
Nesta loses her shit over it and is literally fighting tooth and nail the entire time Elaine is taken, dunked, and pulled out.
She was, like, scratching, kicking, yelling.
It was rough.
And all of a sudden, good old Lucian realizes that that is his mate.
Snippity snappity.
Boys are so... This is why we have to wait until they're 500 years old to mature, guys. Talk about reading a room, Lucian.
Well, wait, did he ever meet Elaine, though?
No. He had never
So-
met her.
How could he have known?
He didn't.
I know.
But I think it was that the mating bond snapped when she turned Fae.
But what I'm saying is, you were saying that, like, this is why we wait or whatever, boys are so stupid, but he wouldn't have known until that actually happened.
Oh, I meant the timing of him saying it.
Oh.
Like, that makes him stupid.
Oh, yeah, maybe
Was-
we'll say that as she's just been, like, kidnapped and
Assaulted to a degree.
then turned into something immortal.
It does almost feel like I hate to use this word, but like it does almost feel like rape. Like it's so
Oh, it is.
it's so unconsensual, but like it just this
Violating.
Yeah,
they're losing bodily autonomy.
yeah, it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I started crying. My
yeah.
little sensitive ass.
Well,
Yeah.
and like it's even the extra trauma of knowing that Elaine was so close to being married and like
Mhm.
living out her like an actual life in a world that actually she fit into is just so
In a world that was so anti-Fae. And
I
now
wish-
she is one.
I wish Lucen had just shut the fuck up. Like, I don't mind if he knew, but the fact that he said it out loud, I'm like, dude, yeah, like you said, read a fucking room. Like, this is not the time.
You wonder if he just went into pure shock and was like, oh no. And maybe he doesn't even
Well,
realize he said it out loud.
I feel like Lucien had such a horrible experience with the first woman that he loved that like
Yeah.
I think it was I think he had given up on falling in love or like finding
Maybe he didn't realize he even had the ability to have a mate. at that
right.
point.
Right. I just don't think he had any hopes for it. And then I think seeing Elaine and having that like instinct staff in place, I think you're right. I think it was very shocking for him. I still think he should have read the book a little better. But no, it was Elaine. Like Nesta's is, I hate
Epic.
to say entertaining, but
It's epic.
it is like.
She gives no fucks.
And then of course, like poor Cassian.
Well, wait, hang on. Let's talk. We'll get into it because we have to
Well-
explain that Nesta did go into the cauldron.
Well, we should explain that. Is it Cassian or no? It's Azriel that's on the brink of death at this moment.
Yeah.
So he's got some poison that's like circling his heart that hasn't like killed him yet. So Azriel is down for the count as all of this is happening.
Mhm.
Feyre and Rhysand are separated. They're all just kind of awkwardly being held apart. as the girls are being dunked in.
And all of them are missing their powers but Feyre.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Feyre's is pretty muted, so
Yeah.
she can't communicate with Rhysand. They can't winnow out.
Yeah.
One of their bat boys is down. I don't know if enough of people outside of the circle know of Rhysand's wings, so those are probably not out anyway.
Yeah.
So they're struggling right now.
And then
then it's Nesta's turn.
Which honestly, I love this girl so much. This feisty little thing. She's like scratching and clawing, and they finally get her in. And she like has this moment where she's like fighting the cauldron, and she sticks her little hand out and she just points at the king. And it's like, I'm coming for you, bitch. I'm going to get you. And it's just her little hand sticking out of this big ass tub, and she's like, I'm coming.
You think you want me to be Faye? Think again.
And it said that when she went under the cauldron, when she came out, she was so vicious with like trying to grab onto stuff that she ended up like, as a revenge, she wanted to take something from the cauldron, and so she did. Like, she grasped and did all these things.
It was like the equivalent of tearing someone's hair out.
Yeah,
she literally
little cat fight, which we'll learn about way later.
And I was gonna say that I think like Cassian's wings were all shredded, right?
Yeah, they were both really injured.
I mean, I know that he was injured. I don't think the wings was the reason why he couldn't assist in this. I think it was he was incapacitated in another way, but like.
Well, he got injured after, because Azrael was injured as the king revealed himself, and then Cassian got hurt after.
Yeah.
But around this time, that was just slightly different. But yeah, both men were just like absolutely down and out for the count, unfortunately.
So now we have all these people down. We have 2 new Fae. We realize that the cauldron works, and
Tamlin is pissed because he did not agree to this. He did not know this was going to happen. He would have never roped her sisters in.
Never.
Well then.
But anyway, so now we have 2 new Fae. All of the queens are there wanting to jump on into this cauldron, and all of a sudden the king smells the mating bond between Rhysand and Feyre.
Which, a little late, may I just say.
Like, you couldn't have noticed it the first, 30 minutes we've been under here.
Well, and also...
I feel like Tamlin would have smelled that too, right? No?
Well, yeah, the king is just kind of laughing at Tamlin at this point, like, you really lost control of your woman, son. But they're all thinking that Feyre is just, crazy brainwashed still. So, they don't... No one can wrap their head around their mating bond. They don't believe it, essentially.
But what Hybern actually breaks is the bond that they made under the mountain.
The good little hand tattoo.
The hand tattoo, which disappears, I think.
Yeah, very painfully and dramatically.
My hands!
So Feyre realizes once all of this happens and she sees how powerless they all are, she decides to lean into going back with Tamlin. So she is able to infiltrate thanks to her being made and having a little bit of power from all the High Fae, High Lords. She is able to find a crack in his systems, and she makes an opening for them to winnow out. So she decides when the King of Hybern breaks their Under the Mountain bond, she gets really dramatic. That's when she blows out the shields, and that's when she decides to play into the I've been brainwashed, Tamlin, take me home. And Rhysand luckily picks up on it.
And then the very last chapter is from Rhysand's point of view. And so the last thing we know is it was just Tamlin, Lucian, the king, and the queens, and Feyre where the cauldron was, and he took the inner circle and deuced with Elaine and Nesta. Yeah. And then when he woke up, he had fainted, and it was all his recollection.
Yeah. And that's when, I mean, in short...
Yeah, instead of doing a, wedding ceremony or whatever, he officially dubbed her the High Lady of the Night Court. They are full-on equals. So she took that vow.
I wish they would have done that, where we could have actually been a part of it.
Yeah. Sarah J. Maas is a bad habit of that, doesn't she?
I fucking hate, I wish she would stop doing it, because we learned earlier in this book that... Actually, I think in this section we just kind of didn't talk about it, was that the ring that she went to get from the Weaver's cottage was actually an engagement ring from his mother, and his mother told him to give it to someone in his future, and Yeah.
As an engagement ring. Yeah.
So there was already the debate. She's like, well, they know if we're together based on the rings. Because again, trying to merge like the human culture versus like the fae culture. While weddings are common in the fae world, it's really mates are rare and it's a different thing.
But they really didn't tell anyone, like not even Cassian. I think Moore maybe knew.
No, I think they all knew that they were mated.
Yeah, but
nobody knew.
Like,
about the high lady. No,
because that literally happened the night before they left for the island.
But like, I hate that Sarah J. Maas does this. She's done this in other series where she does stuff in secret, and it's just like, fuck you. Like, I don't know. That would have been a really cute moment for everyone to share. And I get like the surprise factor of it, but it's not worth it.
I don't think so. Yeah,
because she does that in Throne of Glass too.
She does that later in the series too.
I think she does that in Crescent City as
well. She does that quite a few times, Sarah J. Maas. You are just mean.
That's Sarah.
So Feyre opts to not wear her wedding ring that she rescued herself, that she
died for coming up the chimney.
I know, right? So she opted not to wear it to try to further hide their commitment because they were able to pull off the mating bond in front of everybody, which like blows my mind. Like everyone like just doesn't question it. Like I don't know, she accepted it. Like what was Tamlin thinking, letting her back? Like it's just so. And like Lucien, might we add, is 100% suspicious.
Oh
yeah, he's like,
don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
I mean, he did just see her grow like Valerian wings. Valerian wings.
Illyrian.
Jeez.
What do y'all say?
Oh, sorry. It's late. So he saw her like sprout Illyrian wings, and I think Feyre's standoff with Lucien in the forest was very convincing. I think he definitely got the hint. And I think it was enough to convince Lucien that this was not her being manipulated. This was genuinely where she was at. And I think that's what he told Tampon. I think that's what he told Tamlin. And I think Tamlin didn't want to hear it. And I think that's...
Tamlin didn't want to hear something that he didn't want to hear?
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Stubborn? Never.
Yeah. But so I think... I do think that Lucien knows that... doesn't know, but I think he genuinely suspects Feyre is faking it.
Well, I think the biggest thing that tipped him off was the fact that she was not worried about her sisters disappearing with Rhysand and them.
Yeah.
That was the tip-off. Was her not having a meltdown over the safety of her sisters. Because no one else seemed to, like...
Yeah.
Pick up on it or care about it. Like, I mean, yeah, she's not...
They've only been changed for the rest of their lives with no consent to it.
Yeah.
No biggie. Okay.
Oh, these first two books are my favorite in the series. They're so fun. They're so brilliantly interwoven that once it's like a call and response. Like, I really love... all the Easter eggs she puts in the first one, that and the payoff of it in the second one, and also just the build of Rhysand and Feyre's relationship. Like, it's just, these first two books are near perfection to me.
You know what's so funny? I was not really, like, out of all the books in the series, I think the first two, I was like, oh, those were good. Book 3 might be one of my top favorites, because, like, there's so much action going on.
It is a really, it's a really fast-paced book.
I loved it.
I really liked Wings and Ruin as well. I do have some with book 3. But I won't get into that now. But I really did like book 3. Do you guys have any thoughts about the next book 3? Like, I know we've already read it, but like,
it's about to go down.
Take down the spring court. Let's go, Feyre.
Do you think that she'll still pretend to be friends with Ianthe? Like,
no,
I don't think so either.
I'm sure Tamlin doesn't. Like, I mean, I'm sure Tamlin's pissed at her.
But also, I mean, I read the book, but let's just say, from the current me, if I just read this book, I wouldn't think that she'd be hanging around.
I would be booking it too after pulling that. I would not feel safe. No job security there.
Yeah, I feel like kissing the King of Hybern's ass.
I know, for immunity.
Well, wait, what was the deal she made with Hybern on it? Like, what did she get out of it?
She could be a queen.
A world where the high priestesses are the ones in power.
Yeah.
Is what.
Sorry.
is what he promised her. So the Highburn is literally playing all these people against each other. It's so fun.
He's not
Playing
giving
chess.
He's not giving anybody shit.
No.
Jeez. Jurian's lucky to be alive. Again.
Again. Yeah, very excited for Fair's takedown of the Spring Quirks. You know it's gonna be epic.
Yeah. I do feel bad. I don't know. It's just that, like, and Sarah J. Maas does this a lot, where she just got this couple together. We've had this sort of, like, huge, long, like, will they, won't they type of thing. They finally get together, and now they're torn apart again.
Yep.
She really does love doing that.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? I love reading about kind of Nesta and Elaine's future now that they're Fae. I like learning about how Feyre is going to take Tamlin and the Spring Court down. Like, I don't know. It's just, there's so much stuff going on, and you see a lot of character development for everybody.
Elaine's situation is... Yeah, poor kid.
Elaine's... I mean, Nesta doesn't have it any better, but it's just that extra bit of...
I don't feel as... So that I don't feel bad for Nesta. I was honestly happy that she became a Fae, because I think she's going to be a total badass. I know she is not a fan of this transition, but I like it for her. I don't like it for Elaine, because I know this must have been, like, insane. I mean, it's traumatic for both of them, but I think for Elaine especially, like, she had all of these things in place, and she was getting married. She was very excited about this. And you think about, like, planning the wedding and, like, getting to know the new parents and just...
I mean, that's what the difference is. Nesta felt like she wanted to explore, and she was lost, and kind of like this lost soul where she's like, I'm gonna go adventure on my own to do all these things. So, like, now I feel like being Fae, it's just kind of given her a stronger ability to do all of that, whereas Elaine, she knew that she wanted to be human.
Well, and what's sad about all of this is because of this marriage, because of these plans, she actually would have been safe if she decided to abandon this marriage, because she stayed behind. When they left with the second meeting, the queens are like, you may not be safe here, you should come with us, and Elaine said no, and Nesta's not gonna leave Elaine, so she stayed too. So, like, Elaine would have been able to keep her relationship with her soon-to-be if she had left. So, like, her whole plan in place is what ultimately made her Fae.
Elaine never wins in the end.
Yeah, no, she gets the shortest end of the shortest stick.
Well, and I've read some interesting theories that we can talk about a little bit more. This isn't a spoiler by any means. But I've read some interesting theories about, as we're going to learn about Elaine's progress and her struggle in her Fae life, that there is a theory that because, like, as Nesta took from the cauldron, maybe the cauldron took from them. And there's a theory that maybe Elaine was pregnant. And the cauldron took that. Which that's just... So that's just like an extra layer of theory as going into the third book.
That'd be so
about
sad.
Elaine's struggle to transition as a Fae.
That also means that there's a baby in the cauldron.
Ooh.
Or what would have been. Was supposed to be a baby.
Who knows? Maybe...
Well, it's I think it's kind of like Midnight Mass a little bit. Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to spoil anything.
I have thoughts about this.
About the pregnancy theory?
After Silver Flames, with Nesta taking from the cauldron.
I have not read Silver Flames.
I know, but that's...
There's
I have thoughts that I can't talk about now because I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Thank you.
Now I'm super interested about a give and take.
It's a very interesting, like, thought about that. Because, I mean, people argue, like, well, no, like, Nesta went second. Like, you're going to get into that. Like, his theory was, since Nesta took, the cauldron took too. But based on the order, that doesn't make sense. But that still doesn't negate that maybe Elaine was pregnant. She was, like, right around to getting married anyway. They could have pulled it off as a honeymoon baby at that rate.
I was thinking of something as far as Nesta's powers.
I can't remember Silver Flame well enough, so we'll just have to wait until we get there.
All right, so...
Yeah, let's close her up.
Do you know what chapters we're going to be reading next in book 3?
Nope, that'll be Sarah's job to decide.
Oh!
The teachers learned that right now in this moment.
Yeah, this is so exciting.
So I'll drop a tag
Yeah, we'll drop a
with some
tag because
information.
I have no idea.
I will make Sarah do a TikTok giving the times. Her favorite thing. Okay, and we love you. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back with book
The
three.
The next episode is going to be book 3.
A
A Court
Court
of Wings and Ruin.
Wings
A
and
Court
Ruin.
of Rings and Wings.
All the things.
And remember, it was a finger first. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.